Hello there and welcome to another Barb Stamps video. In this video, I'm going to share with you a super cute card that is part of my Best Butterflies class to go for the month of June 2022. The class will include a pre-cut cardstock kit to make 8 cards, 2 each of 4 different designs with envelopes, and you will also receive a supply kit that includes, get these things straightened away here. You will get 4 6x6 sheets of our adhesive sheets to go with the die cutting. You will get a half a pack of the Best Butterflies Designer Series paper. Here are the amazing patterns of paper in this particular package. They are so cute. They're so bright and floral and butterfly-y, and I just love them. And then you can see all of the coordinating colors are also very bright and springy and happy. So you will get a half a pack of this. You will get 2 of our, if I can get the package open here, 2 of our Peekaboo treat bags. You'll get a white one as well as a craft colored one. Bags are food safe and we will be decorating one in the class. You will get a half a roll of each of these ribbons, the Orchid Oasis ribbon and then the Fresh Freesia. And you will also get a half a package of each of these items, the Iridescent Pearls, Basic Jewels, and the Fun Flowers Resin Shapes. Now, if you do not purchase the kit from me, you will need to have all these items on hand in order to complete the projects as I have designed them. The kit itself is $48, and if you would like to add the Build a Butterfly bundle, you can absolutely do that for an additional $59.90. I do have a link to register for the class or purchase the different options in the description in this video. So let me get the supplies for card number 1 and we will get started. I should also mention that included in the class is a PDF file that I will email to you, which will include the dimensions of all the projects, a photo of each project, and a link to the video for every project. All of my classes have videos for the projects, which I understand is very helpful to those of you that may struggle with certain parts of putting a card together with just written directions. So it's just a little service that I offer to make my classes a little bit better for you. All right, so if you purchase the pre-cut cardstock kit, you're going to find in your kit a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Fresh Freesia, a 4 by 5.25 inch layer of white, 2 more pieces of Freesia. This one is a 1 by 5.25. This is a 1 3/4 by 5.25. You will have 2 strips of white, 1/2 inch strips of white. You'll get a scrap of Starry Sky, scrap of Parakeet Party, a scrap of Calypso Coral that you will do some die cutting with. You'll also need to get yourself some Designer Series paper pieces, a 2.5 by 6 for your envelope flap. This pattern here, this is about a 1 1/4 by 5.25. And then you'll need a 3/4 inch strip for the inside layer. All right, so we're also going to need to do some die cutting. So let's get all of our die cutting pieces here. You'll also have a scrap of white for your sentiment. So you can see I have already done this. This was the large butterfly body. I stamped that in Calypso Coral on the scrap of Calypso Coral. I added a piece of adhesive sheet before I ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and now that is ready to go. So I will be needing to get this is the wings of the butterfly, so you're going to need these pieces of Designer Series paper also, and you'll need to die cut those with the open wings. So I'll get that done. We're also going to put the inside of the wings together. If I can get my other piece here in my hand. And I like to attach them with Post-it tape. I do have a link to this. I do have this in my Amazon store, so if you're interested in some Post-it tape to keep your dies together or to keep your dies on your paper, it's great. You know what, actually, I'm going to bring in a silicone mat, so as I'm lining these up, they're not going to be moving around so much. Okay, so then I'll just add my piece of tape. And we'll get another little piece of tape here. I use the skinny tape. This is the 1/3 of an inch. They do have a larger, thicker, I think about a 1/2 inch, but I just find that this is just fine for most of my needs. I haven't really had a need to have anything thicker than this. So then I'm going to take this piece of Post-it tape. So now these are both nice and connected together. So I've got the dies put together. So I just would go ahead and put them on the paper, but I do need to put my adhesive sheet on the back. So let me grab some adhesive sheet here. Now the entire thing doesn't need to be covered with adhesive sheet that I have found. So we're just going to add our pieces of adhesive sheet. Now I found the easiest way to get these apart is just to kind of roll it towards the shiny side, and then it will start to peel apart. If you are struggling with that, you can use your take your pick tool, which is amazing, to get those two layers apart. Okay, and then just add them to one of the sides of your cardstock. And we'll just roll this piece to the front as well. You're just trying to break up the adhesive there, and I can't even really see, so I'm just going to take my take your pick tool and just poke it on there, and then it will just find the opening there and get those pieces apart. So we'll put that second piece down. All right. So then I'm going to take all these pieces over to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and get them all die cut, and I will be right back. Alrighty, I am back. I've got my two pieces with the adhesive sheets on the back and my two Designer Series paper layers. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Take Your Pick tool and just get underneath that backing sheet there and remove that. And then I'm just going to adhere these two things together. And they should lay right on top of each other. There we go. And we'll do the same thing on this piece here. Get that backing paper off. Okay, and then we will add it to this piece of the Designer Series paper. There we go. So we have our cute little butterfly ready to go, and we have our butterfly body. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to remove my backing paper from the body here. And then I'm going to first add it to, bring my silicone mat back in, to the top layer. These are my top wings, and so I do want the body to be just a little bit above that, and it's got adhesive on it, so it's going to work pretty well. And then I'm going to bring it and I'm going to add it to this layer as well. So now I have my cute little butterfly all ready to go, so we can set that aside. Next, we're going to bring in our cardstock pieces. So we'll go ahead and fold our card base in half. Burnish that. I've got my inside layer here, so we're going to add some seal down the edge. And then we're going to add our strip of Designer Series paper. Mine is a little bit long, as you can see, but no problem. I'm just going to cut that off. Grab some scissors here, and we'll snip that off, and we'll go ahead and add this layer to the inside of the card. And I want the strip of Designer Series paper to be on the outer edge so that when you open it up, it's on the right. There we go. All right, so then on the outside, we are going to add some adhesive to both of these strips. So I'm going to use liquid glue because I just want a little bit right down the edge so we can attach our skinny white strips. There we go. Bring my silicone mat back in. That way, if any glue squishes out, it'll get on my mat and I can just rub it off and toss it in the trash. So I'm going to add it to these white strips. So there is about, I don't know, a 1/16 of an inch or so showing. Okay, on both pieces. There we go. And then we're going to, of course, get the excess off. There we go. And we'll get the excess off on this. There we go. And then we are going to end up adding these pieces to the card. Okay, so I'm going to lay those down, and then I'm going to run a strip of glue right down the middle here so that I know where to place my Designer Series paper. And then I'm going to bring my Designer Series paper strip in here, and I'm going to put that right in the center of that glue strip. And centering it from top to bottom also. There we go. And now when I lay my side panels on here, we're going to put those on with dimensionals. Everything looks to be running very smoothly here. All right, so let's just add some dimensionals. We're going to put one at each end. Oops, I need to do something else to that piece first. So I'm going to pull those dimensionals off and put them over here. I'm just sticking them right down the middle. We can go ahead and put 2 on this, but we do need to add some ribbon. So I'm going to bring in the Fresh Freesia ribbon, and I'm going to tie a knot around something. I find this to be the easiest way to tie a knot. So I'm going to tie it around. This happens to be my Pixie Spray. It's a removable, or it's a repositionable adhesive for my masks. It works really good, and it's also the kind of perfect size for tying a ribbon knot around. Okay. And then we'll cut the excess off, and then we're going to slide that off of the bottle, and then we'll manipulate this and get it nice and tight. And I want to add this to this layer here, so I'm going to add my ribbon around there. But before I do that, I do need to do some stamping. So we are going to, even though I have some dimensionals on there, it should be fine. I'm going to bring in this little bubble image here and my Versamark pad, and I am just going to stamp some bubbles down these strips. There we go. Now we can add the ribbon. So I'm going to have the ribbon, I want the knot to be about right here. So I'm going to pull my ribbon up so it's over the top of my layer, and I'm just going to snip off right there. And then I'm just going to bring this piece, excuse me, to the back, and I'm going to add it with a piece of Scotch tape. And then we're going to pull the ribbon down, and then we're going to attach it to the back at the other end. Yep, just a tiny bit, but that should be enough. There we go. So we have our ribbon on there. So now we can bring that back in, finish adding our dimensionals. So I'll put one up there and one down here. And then we'll pull those backings off. They come off pretty easily. And then we're just going to add this right to the fold line, leaving about 1/8 of an inch or so, centering it from top to bottom. And we'll do the same thing with this piece here. Okay, and we'll put that so it's about 1/8 inch from the side, and then equal distance from the top and the bottom again. There we go. So now we have a kind of a fun little recessed piece of paper in there. So now I'm going to do my sentiment. So I'm going to bring in some Starry Sky ink. And my ink is pretty new, so I do like to kind of press some of that excess ink down into the pad so it's not quite so juicy. And then I have got 3 of the sentiment images on here, and I am going to ink them all up. And I have a scrap of white here, and since it is a photopolymer stamp, I'm going to bring in a foam mat. And I'm going to stamp these all on that layer of white. Okay. Then we're just going to snip this apart to get the words that we want. So I want the word love. And I'm not trying to snip these perfectly apart. I'm just getting them off here. And I want the hey. Okay. I need the word you. Actually, we can just cut that whole thing off. We'll get the word you. All right, and then we need the letter I from the word exist. Okay. There we go. And so now we can just add these to the card. And we're going to spell out the phrase, hey, I love you. So I'm going to go ahead and put the love on. Maybe a slight bit cattywampus. Our hey. Maybe a slight bit cattywampus also. The letter I. And then finally our word you. There we go. And then finally, we can go ahead and add our fun butterfly. So I'm going to do that with some dimensionals. A couple. We'll put one at the bottom. Whoops. And then one here at the top. Pull the backings off of those. And then we will just set that in place right at the edge of our little recessed portion there. All right. And then it is done. How cute is that? Hey, I love you. We have a decorated inside. We have our coordinating envelope flap. And this is card number 1 of my class. So if you purchase the class, go ahead and click the next video for card number 2. If you're interested in the class, remember all the links to purchase it are in the description of this video. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day.